One of the most well-known aspects of the Shroud of Turin is that it has a similarity to a photographic negative. I'm putting this title up here because this is the title of the section I want to go into. A photographic negative, for those of you who are too young to remember anything other than digital photography, part of the process of producing the eventual image was to produce what's called a negative, where all of the areas of black and white are reversed. It creates a completely unexpected effect. It's a very weird, freakish thing that you get, and it's only ever produced as a necessary intermediate stage in producing a lifelike photograph. No artist has ever worked to create a photographic negative because it creates such an unrealistic image. Now, if you look at the Shroud itself as it appears to the naked eye, it's a vague, blurred outline. It doesn't look a particularly realistic image of a person. But then when you reverse the areas of light and shade, as the photographer Secondo Pia did in 1898, this is the incredible image which is produced. All of the vagueness of the image, all of the impression that it was simply looks like it's just been daubed on with some pigment, all of that disappears when you see the reversal of light and shade. Now, bear in mind that all of the detail you see here, and it's considerable, you can see a possible break to the bridge of the nose. You begin to see the swelling around the cheeks, which were the result of a beating, part of the beard torn out. Even as far as I can see, that the line of the eyelashes, the detail you see in the Shroud is astonishing. All of that detail is present in this image, but the naked eye can't see it. It's a very curious effect of photographic negatives, that you can look as long as you like, but you can't imagine what the image will look like if you go about this reversal. Now, once we've done that with the face, we can go on to look, for instance, at the hands, which are one of the most detailed parts of the image. Here is what you see with the naked eye. You can make out the hands, and you can obviously see the blood flows, but not much detail. Reverse the image, and suddenly it springs to life with almost photographic reality. You can even see the foreshortening effect as the fingers of one hand curl around the wrist of the other hand. You can make out all of the details of the bone, knuckles, and so on. Again, reverse back, and you can just see a blurred outline of hands, but you can't make out the sort of detail that you can. Again, if you look at the full frontal image of Jesus in the Shroud, again, concentrating on the face, you can understand why for hundreds of years people thought this must be some sort of painting. It looks like someone's just got a piece of cloth with some pigment of some sort and just roughly daubed it on to show where the main features are. But reverse it, the change is astonishing. Now, big question is why? Why would the image have this quality? But no artist has ever worked in this way. It creates a wholly unrealistic image. And if this was an artist who created it, all of this detail that you see here in the reversed image is there in the original, but it can't be seen. Now, if an artist were capable of putting this sort of detail in, you would have thought he'd want everyone to know about it and would create the image you're looking at here, rather than the way it normally looks to the naked eye. Now, as to the reason why should the Shroud have this astonishing effect when you reverse all of the black and white? It reminded me, first of all, of St. Paul, who said, Christ is the visible image of the invisible God. So making the obvious point that God is pure spirit who exists outside of the universe, but somehow interacts with it and works with it and in it and through it, but can't be seen by us with our five senses and can't be approached. The importance of the incarnation is that it was God's way of relating to us and allowing us to see him through Christ. You could see the whole of John's Gospel as an exploration of this. But if Jesus is the visible image of the invisible God, it was still obviously not a straightforward matter. In the prologue of John's Gospel, he says, he was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world knew him not. He came to his own home, and his own people received him not. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God. So John, who knew Jesus, who was his disciple, who perhaps had the deepest grasp on who Jesus really was, warns all of his readers that many people simply did not see who Christ really was, couldn't approach him. And we see throughout the Gospels that Pharisees, Sadducees, chief priests, many people rejected him. So what was missing? Why is it certain people managed to see Christ for who he truly was and many couldn't? Well, I think the key is to look at the very first command that Jesus makes when he comes out of the desert. He asks for repentance. Now, that's a rather, I think, crude translation of the original Greek word, which is metanoia, from the two Greek words meta, meaning beyond, and noia, meaning mind. So what Jesus is in fact saying is he's asking people to go beyond the mind that you have. And if you don't do that, you won't be able to see who I am. You won't realize the significance of me. You won't be able to see the invisible God through my visible image. Now, to go beyond the mind that you have implies such a dramatic reversal of all of the way in which you see the world, that it's as if black is turned into white, left into right, up into down. I think that what we see in the Shroud, this very, very curious invitation that it contains to reverse everything that you see in the image, to literally turn black into white, is a sign that that's the way we have to approach Christ, to remember his original command for metanoia, to go beyond the mind that you have. These are the sort of teachings which are most likely to be forgotten about by people who want a very black and white rationalistic explanation of faith. The idea that you have to not be satisfied with the current way you look at the world and to completely transform your mind is something which is likely to be forgotten about, brushed over and rejected. So the Shroud, this is the first of the ways, I think, in which it reminds us of the most important of Christ's teachings.